And how are you guys tonight? You guys, we are live here on the Brush by Brandy Facebook and YouTube channel. I started doing YouTube lives a few weeks ago, seeing how those are doing. They're getting a little better viewership than Instagram does. I don't think most people just go to Instagram for lives. It's not what that platform is made for. So we're trying over on YouTube to do our lives there. Although it does have a little bit different camera angle on YouTube than Facebook does.
I can see what you're thinking.
Yeah, so we're playing around with some different ideas. You guys, we are live here on the Brush by Brandy Facebook and YouTube channel. My name is Brandy. I'm the owner and artist behind Brush by Brandy, cleaning out resin from under my fingernails. My husband Sean is here behind the camera. He's going to help us answer questions tonight as we go.
On the ones and twos?
Yeah, we're going to try some cool stuff. I'm going to share some different products with you tonight. And we're going to start a new piece. Last week we finished our piece that we were working on, which means we get to start something brand new tonight. We're going to do this little chest right here.
Paula's on YouTube, so.
Hey, Paula. Paula from Temecula.
Yep.
The Paula from Temecula, yeah. Soon to be Temecula. Okay, so this little chest right here is what we're going to start on. And this piece I actually picked up to be storage in my workspace because I needed small little drawers. But I ended up finding some little filing cabinets that actually will work better. So this is just a piece for me to play on.
Really quick, sorry. Paula, I know it's a super small, narrow profile on Facebook or YouTube, but we can't get around it.
It's not anything that we choose. It's just the angle that they
it doesn't landscape it or any fun stuff like that.
It's like how, Paula, you used to watch on Instagram, how much their variation there is from Instagram to Facebook even. YouTube has a totally different view.
Gotta stick with the trend.
It's not my favorite, but Sean just tries to work with the camera and try to correct it a little bit. So because this is just a piece that I get to play around on, I wanted to do some kind of funky colors on it. I'm going to do something up the sides. We'll start on that tonight. And then I have a couple things planned for this piece. I think it'll be kind of fun. I don't really have a firm direction on it, so if it changes along the way, that's totally to be expected. But I get this question a lot, like where do you start when you don't really have a direction? And on this one, I'm going to start with a color combination that I just think is really pretty. These are colors that I really like and I want to use them together. So this is Wise Owl Paint, and this is Siren Song, is kind of a rich teal, and then Spanish Olive is a green that has a lot of yellow undertones in it. So I think it'll be a little bit bright, a little funky. I might add some black and with black waxes, kind of grungy black, and then maybe some rust accents.
Paula jumped ship and went over to Facebook.
Yes.
Susan Batson mentioned reach out to Roy Cycled and figure out, because she watches them a lot, and they have it in landscape on YouTube.
Oh, does she have it in landscape? Okay, we tried it in landscape. I will talk to Royce actually. Thank you for the tip. I tried it in landscape and it tells me it's the wrong camera angle. So we'll see.
It's because I'm not on there.
Okay, so first thing I want to do before we get started tonight, let's see if these are ready yet. Yep, these are ready. Is I made some molds, and these aren't exactly how I want them to be, but I'm going to make some other ones with you guys.
Sure.
So,
this piece is tall and slender, unlike me.
That is not true. Sherry is tall and slender. It is tall and slender. I was going to use it to store like some of my like sandpapers, because I don't always
Postage stamps?
Go get rid of them the first time. Sometimes I'll reuse them. So I wanted to store like sandpapers, and then I've got, oh gosh, what other junk do I just have stashed up there?
Oh, let me count.
Like little pieces of hardware that I save. I just needed little drawers for storage. I have stuff up there for my resin, like sandwich bags and little cups and little popsicle sticks. I just needed like little tiny drawer storage. So that's kind of what I was thinking on this. Okay, so let's, I'm going to use this mold here. This is called Baroque Frames this is from the Finnabair line from Redesign with Prima. And we're going to cast these, but I'm going to do something a little bit different. These didn't come out perfect, but I was making it really quick before I came on. It's a sample one. And what I'm thinking is these knobs actually do not come off. They could, but I would do more damage to the front taking it off, because this has kind of an enamel finish. And when they enameled it over the hardware. So if I take these off, I'm going to have a big old gouge here. So I'm just going to work with the hardware on, but I think I'm going to put these little plates on here. Can you see like
Now,
that?
for the people on YouTube, I want to point out that the camera is literally like 18 inches away from my
Yeah,
noggin.
it's pretty much
like,
it's
crazy.
pretty much up my face. It's pretty much all up in my face. You guys should be able to see my pores. Like, okay, so this was another mold that I also liked, but this one's a little too large. I went ahead and poured both of them, but this one, the size isn't going to work. So I'll just go ahead and save this guy for another piece.
Oh, Sherry brought jokes tonight.
Yeah, she's bringing her A game.
She's Baroque after shopping at Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, right on. Hey, there's worse places, right? Okay, so let's pour this mold, but I'm going to show you guys something a little bit fun to do with your molds.
Have someone else.
So I've got this little table, aka it's a stool, not a table. And I'm going to take my molds, the Baroque Frames mold. This is from Redesign with Prima. Can you, on Facebook, if you hold down the, and...
Huh?
No, yeah, no, you have no clue what I'm talking about. I was going to have Sean throw up a link. Hold down until you get to your clipboard.
Just on the screen anywhere?
In the comments. Hang on, guys. I'm going to have Sean throw up a link.
Okay.
And,
comment window pop up.
And on your clipboard, scroll down to the bottom, and there's one for Canterbury Creative. I'm going to throw that up.
Oh, yeah, here you go. Why don't you go ahead and get this?
Oh my gosh, never mind. I'll do it after I'm done. This is what I'm working with. Somehow I became the tech savvy one. It's supposed to be the guy, right? I know. I'm getting gypped. Okay, so let's pour this mold. I'm going to pour this mold using Amazing Casting Resin. I store my resin in these bottles here.
In my clipboard, what am I selecting?
Throw up the one for Canterbury Creative and then for Wiseall too. Just never mind. Yeah?
No.
Yeah, okay. It's not happening. we'll have to have a
We'll go back.
We'll have to have a lesson on that later.
Thank you.
Yeah, I kind of figured. That's why
You know what?
I have to do that. I know.
I don't like your attitude.
I know.
Wrong kind. I'm telling you, more of a customer service.
Yeah. Okay. This is Amazing Casting Resin, and I store it in these condiment containers. I do want to say that I am working with some older resin here. This is old. It started to settle. I'm trying to scrape through the last of it, but it's making my molds kind of funky. So I'm just going to warn you for that. It's not usually how my molds are poured, but I'm going to use the last of this resin. I am determined, and I do not like to waste anything. The other thing we're going to use is resin dye. This is from Alumilite, which is the same company that makes Amazing Casting Resin, which we're going to pour the resin in. So I'm going to start out, and I'm going to pour... This is a very small mold that I want to make here. So I'm only going to use the tiniest bit of resin. I'm just going to cover the bottom of this little cup in my part A. I'm going to add about the same amount in my part B. And then I'm going to get a little bit of my resin dye. And it comes in a dropper. I'm going to tell you this too. Mine's about, I don't know, 2+ years old. It starts to solidify. So, but it still will mix in. And I mix in just a little tiny bit of that resin dye, and it's going to, instead of curing in a white, this is going to cure in black.
Sherry says that her husband and I now share similarities.
He can't do tech either.
I build stuff!
Yeah, it's not Sean's forte. Like, if we had an old blinking VCR clock, it would still be blinking.
No, I would unplug it.
So this one here, I didn't add enough resin dye. It starts to turn it a little bit gray. We'll see if this one comes out better. And I'm just going to pour it into this mold. Because this resin cures white, and I added a black resin dye, so I have to kind of account for the white and the black mixing together as it cures, and it can turn to a gray. So you do need to, use a little bit more resin dye because we're doing this in white resin. Casting resin dries to a white. You can put it in clear coating resin. The resin dyes can be used in clear resin also. But I need this to cure in the 10 minutes, and that means I'm going to get the white casting resin. Okay, so you can see I put these in here, and right now they are black because when it's wet, it's translucent. So they look black, but I did add it to this one here, and you can see I didn't add enough dye, and it just stayed gray. Yeah, it's kind of a charcoal gray. I'll hold it up to the camera so you guys can see better. So this just doesn't have enough dye in it, and it just came to a gray. So, I mean, you can make a variety of colors. The resin dye comes in a ton of different colors: white, black, pink, blue, yellow, I mean, all kinds of different colors. And you can dye your resin if you don't want to paint them. So that's kind of what we're doing here. So I just cast this one again. I had a little bit extra, so I just made another one of these, even though I don't plan on using it, but I'll just have some of these. I prefer to cast any excess resin I have versus throwing it away. Again, I don't like to waste anything. So I'm going to set this aside. It'll take about 10 minutes and we'll come back. Because I have the resin dye in there, it's going to be harder for me to tell when it starts to cure. Usually you can see it change from the translucent to the white, but I turned this all black. And so it's going to stay that way as it dries. So it's still wet right now. I can feel it getting warm. That's the chemical reaction starting to happen in the resin. So we'll leave that sitting. We'll come back to it in a few minutes. Okay, so on the side of this piece, one thing that's kind of fun is when you do smaller pieces like this might be the size of like a jewelry armoire. Scale is really important to consider in your pieces. And so scale would be, I'm using a smaller size mold. We're gonna put some stenciling on the side, so I'm using smaller size stencils. When I paint it, I'm going to look at my brush size, and I might choose a slightly smaller brush versus a larger brush like this. So doing different size projects, you can need different size tools for, and that's what I'm looking at on this one. Where I'm thinking I want to put the stencil, it's got this long empty side here, just all up this side, and I kind of want to decorate it. So I've got these stencils here. This is from the Finnabair line from Redesign with Prima. So Finnabair, you can see her logo here. She is a designer who does mixed media art. So often her products will be a little bit smaller in scale, and they're more appropriately sized for pieces like this. So I've got a couple stencils I was looking at. This is one. This is called Oriental Wall. That was one choice. This one is a lace called Ornate Lace.
I was only laughing because I'm getting assistance from people out there.
Oh, yeah, they're trying to teach you how to pop a link in there?
She posted the link.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh my
I'm just
gosh,
back here giggling.
You. This one's called
Thank
Mind Games. This is a checkerboard pattern with a
So I feel like what's going on right now.
Yeah, some mind games, yeah. We will have a technology lesson. I've been telling John we need to do it for a while, but it hasn't happened yet. Okay, this one is called Victorian Tiles, which I do like this one. So that was a contender. This stencil I love. This one's called Laurels, and it's kind of this leafy design. I'm kind of leaning towards this one just because I really love the pattern on it. I actually used this one on this box here. Can you guys see that texture? It has a really cool texture.
It's only 2D right now. Turn it. Yep, there you go. That way people get to see the... You got to bring it over a little bit this way.
So that's the texture of this stencil, and it is really a cool texture to have. So I'm kind of leaning towards using this one. It's kind of a leafy pattern, but it's a great size for something this the size of this piece. So let's go ahead and put a raised stencil up the side of this.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Not with a link in the profile.
There is one.
Let's not do that.
There is one.
Not courtesy of you, huh? All right, so I think I'm gonna have to use this upside down because I would have to cut my stencil. I hate cutting my stencils. I do it sometimes, but I would have to cut it to fit up against the top, or I can just have it going down. It doesn't really make a difference on this piece. It still wouldn't, be an appropriate design.
What's an inappropriate design?
If it was like if it had a pattern that would be obviously upside down.
That's inappropriate?
Yeah, that would be inappropriate.
We really need to have a meeting about this.
We don't do inappropriate here. Okay, and I've got kind of a frame in here.
Oh, look, Pam's home for a night.
Oh, Pam, you came home? Are you sleeping in your own bed finally? Well, that sounds really bad.
Or someone else's, yeah.
Sorry, Pam. That's not what I meant. I meant, never mind. I'm not going to elaborate on that.
Way to make it awkward.
No, that's not what I meant. Okay, for everybody watching, Pam is a flight attendant, and so she travels a lot. And, yeah. Okay, no, I'm sorry, Pam. I'm just going to leave it.
Staying at those places with hourly rates is a little bit of a concern.
Pam, Sean said that, not me. Hate Sean. I'm the good one. Okay, this is my mold is starting to cure, and I can tell that it's solidified. It's not going to be enough to get it out of here. It's still going to be sticky, but I can see that it's already solidified, and I'm getting much more of a black color on this than I did on my first casting, which came out more of the gray. So I think it's kind of fun to turn your molds different colors. So I will try to get them all as black as possible. I'll probably end up painting them. But I just wanted to show you guys with the resin dye that it's kind of a fun option. Where did I put my, are they up here?
What are you looking for?
Little tiny silicone spatula tool.
Oh, really?
All right, well, I have 500 more, so let me go grab another one because it's small and it's lost. I grabbed it. Oh, here it is. It's over here.
Oh, look, it's over there.
I found it.
Oh.
So the other thing I love when I'm doing raised stenciling, which we're going to do here, is these guys. These are Spread Pals from Redesign with Prima. They're just a silicone spatula.
Do you want me to post a link?
No, it's not worth the effort. It's so, I don't care. I just don't care. And we're going to put our raised stencil on with chalk paste. I haven't showed chalk paste in a long time, but it's a really cool product, and it's perfect for raised stencils. I show you guys, I'll use like joint compound. There's different texture additives you can put in your paint and make thick paste, but the Redesign chalk paste are ideal. It's it dries like your paint does. It's nice and hard. You don't have to seal it afterwards like you would with a joint compound. And it's a thick paste, so it's going to give me just the right amount of texture.
Hey, Fireball June.
Okay, so I can scrape it over the top of this stencil. I do kind of have to hold it down.
Hold it down.
Because this is a raised area and it's sitting on the outside lip. I don't need this stencil to be perfect. I feel like I need some more rigidity than my Spread Pal right now. Yep, I need more of like a firm spatula, like a petty knife. Nope, not worth it. I'll grab it.
Well, I can do that. Just don't tell me I gotta post a link for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like your attitude.
All right, so let's try this guy here. Okay. So I just grabbed a 2-inch putty knife.
So do you not use any kind of spray glue when you're doing this?
No, I'm just using the tape on this one. This stuff is nice and thick. That's much better. And I can scrape it right over the top of my stencil. I'm going to come in from the sides here where I've got this trim on the edge.
Now this was already painted.
Yes, this was already painted. And I'm sorry, I did want to talk to you guys about what I did to prep this piece because I didn't do a lot. All I've done on this piece to prep it is I cleaned it really well because it was dusty. Maybe sat in someone's garage. And I scuff sanded it. Okay, I'm going to be using chalk paint on it, chalky style paint, Wisel chalk synthesis paint. And I'm not priming this one. I'm going to go ahead and paint right over the enamel finish that it has on it from the factory. With the chalky style paints, they have a pretty good grip. So I don't feel like I need to prime this one, but I did scuff sand it to give a little bit of tooth to this enamel finish that is on the piece already.
Pam, that's totally inappropriate. But is it quick and thick?
Well, I mean, Pam can pretty much say what she wants tonight after what you just said to her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, okay. That's not true, Pam.
If I was using an all-in-one style paint, so like 1 hour enamel on this, 1 hour enamel does not have the same gripping properties. That's traditional for an all-in-one style paint. Don't grip the same as chalky style paints. So if I was using like an all-in-one paint on this, I would prime it. I'm going to go ahead and pull my stencil back. So cool. That was a really cool pattern. I love this stencil. This is a good stencil. And now I'm going to try to find my pattern repeat, and I'm going to try to not touch my stencil above it. I don't want to smash the design down. So right about there. And I'll go ahead and continue this. So it'll take me 3 placements total. I'll have 1 more placement after this one to go down the side. You can see how easy the chalk paste is to work with. This can go, I'm going to put it under my paint and probably distress a little bit to expose this charcoal color that I'm using called Iron Gate. But you can also put this over your paint, and then you don't have to paint your raised stencil. It's already in a color. So when you use like a joint compound or a lot of texture mediums, they will come out white. This way, if you use the chalk paste, you can have your raised stencil be just about any color you want. It comes in, you know, pinks, purples, creams. The Redesign with Prima chalk paste are mostly muted tones, but that's what I tend towards with my designs anyways. I like muted shades. A little bit goes a long way. I haven't cleaned my stencil in between uses. I probably will clean it in between sides. So when I turn this to do the other side of the piece, I will go ahead and clean this stencil, rid it of the chalk paste so I don't start getting a muddy design. So let's pull this away. So cool. I do have a little gap in there. I might try to fill that in later. I'll just lay my stencil over and do that spot because I really didn't want a gap in my pattern. Yeah, I just need to move my stencil up a little bit and I'll just fill that. But I'm going to let it dry because I don't want to mess up what I've already done. See if I can do it better on this one. This one I'll just move my stencil up a little bit so that I don't make that same mistake again. And then I'll let this dry, and I don't need to, you know, seal it or shellac it. I can paint right over the top if I want. Or if I just wanted to leave this as my, you know, color, no paint over the top, you can leave this too. I think I'm going to do kind of a, I don't know, pretty blend, but I'm also going to layer it so it's a little grungy. That's kind of what I'm thinking on this. We'll continue to work on this piece over the next couple weeks. So I'm just scraping the chalk paste as evenly as possible over the stencil until I get an even layer over the top of it. I'm going to refill my spatula a little bit. My chalk paste also, see, this is what happens. This is probably, I'm going to say this chalk paste is like 4 years old.
What?
Yeah. I'm telling you. So it's still good. It keeps great because it comes with this lid in the container. You guys want to make sure you keep this plastic lid with the chalk paste and always store it with this. That's the only way I've been able to get it to last so long. So these do store really nicely. But I definitely notice it's a little thicker than a brand new chalk paste would be. I teach classes with this sometimes, and mine is definitely a little bit thicker.
Bam!
So cool. And that one I don't have the gap on. That looks much better in that transition space. I'm much happier with that side. And then I'll scrape the excess in. I am going to wash the stencil before I do the other side. All right, so let's turn this back to the front. Can you get me my Type Bond Quick and Pick? All right, you guys, it is summertime and kids are home from school. I also have an employed son who is working at the community center. He's lifeguarding and he's working on Thursdays now. So
Yes, Stephanie, you could cut it, but she mentioned she doesn't like to really cut her stencils.
I could cut my stencil. It makes me cringe. I don't know. Do you guys have a hard time cutting your stencils? I definitely can. Once you cut it, it's always cut. I actually do have 2 copies of that stencil, so I probably should have just cut it. but I didn't. I have a hard time with it. All right, so I added a little bit of Type On Quick and Thick adhesive. I'm going to try to center these guys. And this is the one we just cast. This one also cast a little bit gray.
Do you know if that chalk paste comes in metallic colors?
It doesn't, but they do have what's called acrylic shine. Acrylic sheen or shine. I'll have to grab the container. Let me grab the container really quick. They have a equivalent product that does come in metallics. Let me show it to you. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Ignore what I said about the shine. Icing paste. Okay, so this is redesigned icing paste. What I just used was chalk paste. So icing sounds more like a cake frosting, right? And it's the consistency of that. Okay, so this is like a pearl metallic, this color. This one is called Frosty Pearl. Huh. How creative. This one doesn't have the lid inside, so I try to keep this metal seal on as long as possible, and it will help keep it better. So if you can do that, but this is a paste, the consistency of the chalk paste, and it comes in a variety of metallic colors. So this is that pearl, you know, that would be really pretty on there too. Comes in gold, white gold, I don't know, there's like a red color, whole bunch of different metallic colors. That's the icing paste. Okay, so these are my molds that are going to be my kind of my hardware backs. And I'm going to continue to cast this. So I do them one at a time, and I'll move on and do a different, you know, project or technique, like how I did the side stencil. I'll cast one, come back and cast another, because it's going to take me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more castings to get the front of these. And then I want to show you the color scheme that I plan to use on this, because you guys are probably going to think I'm crazy. I want to make sure these are centered. So hang on, I'm going to turn this so I can look at it head on. I usually do not recommend painting while your glue is wet with your molds, because when you put paint on it, it's going to affect your glue drying. So just be aware of that. I usually would let my glue dry. I'm using a tapping because my glue is wet, and I don't want to pull that mold out of its place with wet glue. I'm going to paint around this hardware. This is just my first coat. I'm going to see some of the black. And I'm going to put this, whoa, hello. I'm going to put this green. This is called Spanish olive, and I'm going to put it a little bit wider than I want it. I'm going to bring in a blue. So my next color is called Siren Song. Just a fun color combo. This is does not have to be a serious piece. I'm just using what's on the lid of my container right now, but wait till you see how these two colors will blend together. The Siren Song and the Spanish Olive. So this is my brush for my Siren Song. I'm just going to start swirling these together. So pretty when they blend. It's going to take me 2 coats. This is just my first coat. Now I'm coming back with my brush for my Spanish Olive, and I'm going to carry that out into the Siren Song. Okay, so I used a swirling, and now I'm just going to kind of clean it up. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because this is my first coat. The second coat is where I'm really going to get this how I want, but I want to keep these edges to that blue, so I just clean that up. Now, what's fun on this piece is I get to do this 7 times. So we'll do the same thing with this top drawer. Again, I'm going to tap around my mold because I don't want to create friction that moves it with the wet glue on it. Let your glue dry before you put your paint on. We're going to work more on the paint for this next week. I wanted to show you what I'll have underneath the paint, which will be these cool molds around my hardware, and then that raised stencil up the side. And then I can even like distress my molds a little bit and I'll see that charcoal color that I made the molds in instead of seeing the white. So the resin dye is a fun tool when you want to have colored molds that aren't white underneath there. This color combination is pretty. I like this Spanish olive. It has a lot of yellow in it, and so it really pops against a lot of colors. I'm using it in another combination now. You guys will see that piece a little bit later, but it really pops. You can put it with greens, you can put it with blues. So that was my brush for my siren song. This is my brush for my Spanish olive, and I'm going to come back and just kind of work these together a little bit more.
This is Wise Owl paint.
This is Wise Owl paint in siren song and Spanish olive. And this is their chalk synthesis paint. We talked a little bit about how I might prep differently if I was using their 1 hour enamel. The chalk synthesis paint is pretty user friendly. It's definitely what you would choose if you want a blended finish, whereas the 1 hour enamel is what you would choose if you want those solid single color finishes. So this is how I'm going to do this piece. And then on the side of the piece, I will paint over my raised stencil and I'll just see that stencil design on there. All right, so I'm going to continue to make these hardware backs out of the resin. When we come back next week, you guys, we will finish painting this. I want to paint this one with you, so we'll go even more in depth. We'll continue some on the first coat, and then we'll go ahead and get our second coat on and really see what this is going to look like. That hardware back, that mold added a ton of interest to the front of this piece. I love that detail. I think we're going to do like a fun paint pour on the top too. When I get to that, we'll do a paint pour up there. So just fun little techniques. Pieces like this are great for practicing things on if you just want to play with techniques. And that's kind of what we're going to do. We're just going to do a sampler platter of techniques all over the sides of this piece, and it's going to be really cute when it's done. All right, you guys, I have a lifeguard I have to go pick up from his job, so I'm going to pop off for tonight. I will have a YouTube video coming out, a new tutorial, so check out my YouTube channel if you're not already subscribed there. Over on YouTube, I do a weekly live video, and I do a weekly edited tutorial too. So whether you like short form videos or more in-depth stuff, there's something there for everyone. Tons of videos over there. So check out my YouTube channel, and we'll come back next week and we'll keep working on this one. All right, you guys, I'll catch you later. Have a great weekend.